let's read our book. I think everything's good. Okay. Those weeks immediately following the deaths of Myrna, Relina, and Angeta were hard. Not only had I lost my home, but I had also lost my family. Not only that, but I was not allowed to bury them or even mourn them, for I had been forced to flee for my very life yet again. Wait, really? Do energy drinks make you sleepy then? I cannot do energy drinks. Did you really start this book? We are on chapter 11. So you get actual energy from this energy drinks. See, thanks, Magna. The powder? What's the powder? Yes, that's kind of what I was thinking. So like caffeine, I could go to sleep, like I could drink like caffeine right before bed and I could go to sleep just fine. Is it really? Yeah, so people with ADHD, they tend to it tends to chill them out instead of giving them energy or whatever. Like, I don't drink coffee in the mornings when I get up, and a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand how I could function without that. Let me get there. It has caffeine. I never even tried a powder energy. Yeah, that's what I have to do. They call it stimmy naps. What are stimmy naps? So one time I had a large sweet tea from McDonald's. This was like years ago. This was before I knew I had ADHD. But I also had an energy drink. And with the combination of both, I felt like my heart was going to explode. But I wasn't like bouncing off the walls kind of deal. It was a weird thing. So because of that, I won't do energy stuff. They scare me now. I'm just looking. Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. It was, yeah. Really? I did not know that. See, like, it chills me out, but I don't always take a nap after having it. Like, I kind of live on caffeine because I drink sweet tea a lot. I used to be really bad. Yeah, that is scary. That is scary with, like, the blood pressure and everything. Stories, how are you doing? That means that you rate it. Okay, hold on. Let me close your tab out. Okay. Stories. Oh, I totally forgot. Since we haven't started yet. It's already an hour in. I haven't started. My bad, guys. Let's do a shout out for Rafa. Which he's another good streamer. Wait. There we go. I don't know why that. I don't know why it... I'm gonna have to fix the echo-ness. I don't know how to fix that yet. Okay, we'll try... So, Rafa, he's great. He's a great streamer. He does a lot of karaoke. I really liked him. He's a nice guy. I got my Rafa stuff, which I'm super excited. I'm waiting on the jacket so I could post about it, because I'm going to do a post of all 3 items. So yeah. The Cookie Monster, I actually haven't seen that done yet, but I have seen the Kermit Frog one. The delays? Was there a delay? My naps are usually an hour and a half to 2 hours. Your blood pressure drops? I never knew that was a thing. Okay, let's do a video shout out for stories. No, I haven't started reading. I did a recap though already. I have been told stories, because this is kind of like up your alley. I have been told that there are going to be more scenes coming up at some point. So I have no idea when they're coming up. And yeah, it's all going to be a surprise to me. Oh crap, I did the wrong video shout out. There we go. The Slickning? Well, it still has the echo. Dang it. I hit the refresh button. And then, okay. There we go. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Yes, and you know, we did have a scene where it may have mentioned something about that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start now. So, just a reminder, the 3 ladies they died in the fire, and so now Corbin is alone again. So you're fine. There's a lot of people in here that's the same. You should have seen the comments people were making. Hey! Thanks for the raid! Oh my goodness! Who was that? Jay? Thanks, Jay! Woo.
Oh, yeah.
Dang it. I hit the refresh, but still. Oh my goodness. Thanks, guys! How are you doing, Jay? How are you doing? How's your Friday? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. So, just a quick thing about me. I am not your typical streamer. I'm legacy bookish, and I actually read books. So, if you love books, this is perfect for you. You did your first affiliated? Oh my goodness, how was it? Were you nervous or anything? I was so overwhelmed with my first affiliated that I just didn't do anything special. Oh my goodness. Really? Well, oh, did I do a shout out? It did a video, right? Okay, yes. Who has a creepy shadow goblin? If anybody that's still here, if y'all could just give a follow to Jay. How about, oh, here we go. How about if I do this? Dang it. It's the wrong thing. You're a VTuber? If you could tell, I am too. So yeah, so I do book content. If anybody's readers, let me know, because I love talking about books. So yeah, I was overwhelmed, and everybody kept on asking if what I was going to do for my affiliated stream. And like when I became affiliated, it just kind of happened. Like I wasn't prepared for it really. And so I don't know, I just kind of froze, and I was like, I'm not nope, not going to do it. So I didn't do anything for it. I just read my typical book, and that was it. Alrighty. So alright. So those weeks immediately following the deaths of Myrna, Relina, and Geta were hard. Not only had I lost my home, but I had also lost my family. Not only that, but I was not allowed to, I read this, bury them or even mourn for them. For I have been forced to flee for my very life yet again. Hold on. Yeah, so when I was first started streaming, I only had one people. It was two guys that streamed together. They were the only ones that knew of me. And then randomly one day they got two other like bigger streamers, decent sized streamers, like raid me in the same night. And that's when I became affiliated. And that's when I got introduced to like Sunshine and Wolf and Spoons. Oh my god, something fell. Sorry. From the rumors I could gather as I snuck through town keeping a low profile, I found out that a deeply religious group was cleansing the city of sin, and the girls with their inn were considered a place of sin. As such, they were purified of their sins. Evie, how are you doing? Other rumors shattered my heart and named me monster. Some folks claimed that I had corrupted and enslaved those women, turning them from God. That I was a demon, a demonic monster who deserved to be haunted for killing many innocents and for my practice of witchcraft. Someone knew who I was, and that scared me. Oh my goodness, I have not started watching that yet, but I'm working on the anime, and I'm trying to finish that first. I'm on book 2. There's nothing wrong with that. So the loyalty points is basically for book themed stickers. It's basically what it is. No longer did I actively interact with much of anyone outside of necessity. I kept my hat low whenever I did speak to others. I still practiced medicine when approached by someone, but nor did I seek them out. Never again would I let someone within my heart. It hurt too much to do so. They were only going to betray me repeatedly. I deserved to be alone. Those women could have survived if I had not stayed so long. They're really, I really like the stickers. Bohemian. Yeah, I'm liking the avatar, to be honest. I blame myself for their deaths. I deserve nothing good ever again. Now I was getting off my horse to let him rest. This black stallion was my only faithful friend who had been with me since before I lost my brother. I always made sure to take care of him. I let him graze as I headed down to the waterfront beside the river, but coming through the reeds and water grass on the shoreline, I quickly found that I was not alone. You haven't heard good things of the live action? Crouched down by the water was a plague doctor like myself, shorter and... Wait a minute. I looked over him and then spotted the mask. It was the same one from days ago. "Hello there," I said, so as to alert them to my presence. It startled them as they whirled around and growled at me. "Hey now, that is uncalled for. Seriously," I said, trying to defuse the situation, but to no avail. The closer I got, the more he growled. I could see a lot of blood on his face and shirt. "Let me tend to you," I tried to say, but he snarled before grabbing his mask and running off into the trees. I groaned, but pursued him no further. He was not worth my effort to pursue. I wanted someone to talk to, sure, but every time that I did attempt to do so, my mind would remind me of what I was: a monster, a demon not worth of kindness, a murderer not worthy of love. It was enough for me to hide myself away deep within. I had to protect myself from others. I told myself that I would never know the warm embrace of a lover, nor a conversation with a friend, so why should I even try anymore? Sorry. Okay, let me catch here. Okay, I did hear that people were complaining about them changing a lot of things in the live action that was not in the anime. I plan to give it... Hey, is it Ambly? Is that how you say it? Thanks for coming with the raid. Yeah, the One Piece live action was really good. Rabies? Is that say rabies? Yeah, that's what I heard too. There is one character that had a change. What character is that? For Aang, the first time airbending on Appa back in front of... Oh, was it really? Katara waterbends... I mean, she knows some. Alright. Raffle. There we go. I turned away even though I could still hear that plague doctor just on the other side of the bushes. I reached into my saddlebags after mounting up to grab an apple. "Here, something to munch on," I called out to them before tossing it over the bush to them. I then turned my horse away and rode off. I never looked back. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Where I would normally see and talk to a few people a day, it was now rare that I came out at all, much less talk to anyone. No one talked to me either, unless it was for urgent medical care. More often than not, I was truly alone to do anything I pleased. More than once I contemplated taking my own mixture of herbs for that endless sleep that I had brought to so many of my patients. Something always stopped me from administrating it, though. I had countless nights of nothingness. Nothing but me, the night sky, and my thoughts. I pored over countless situations where I had tried anything different to save those women. This night in particular, I was setting up on a boulder under a gorgeous starry sky. A gentle breeze blew through my hair as I gazed down at the Lady Myrna's pendant. It was the first night that I had to properly grieve their loss. My heart was broken as I remembered those women. The Lady Myrna, Relina, and Geta. Boomy? Boomy. I know Boomy. Boomy is like a crazy character though. Yes, they kind of knew almost from the start that he was an airbender in the Avatar. They changed Boomy? What did they change him to? Oh, thanks, Magna. Wait, who's Heather? Thanks, Magna, for the lurk. I appreciate. Thanks, Bohemian. Good night, guys. Thanks. Thanks for the raid and thanks for the lurks and everything. Oh, was he really? Why would you do that for? That doesn't even make sense. Those women had saved me in so many ways. They had each changed me in unique ways. They had taken me into their home and made me family. They loved and cared for me in ways that not even my brother had. I had been wanted, needed. The Lady Myrna had taught me patience, cooking, and preparedness. And Geta taught me about my own sexuality and love. Relina had given me kindness and comfort through the little things in life. I had given them protection and reliability. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to change that. Boomy, he's a great character, but he wasn't like a huge main character. Like, how would that? I don't understand. What was the point of that? At least right now, as far as I know, he's not. Like I said, I'm only on book 2. My tears began to pour as I sobbed, clutching that pendant to my chest. I had failed those women who had so selflessly given themselves to me. I was not there when they needed me the most. Their final moments had been ones of terror and pain, wondering where their protector was and expecting me to save them as I had countless times before. I was nowhere near them. I tore myself apart on the inside as I mourned their deaths. A small breeze seemed to come from nowhere. It curled under my chin and almost seemed to lift my head up. A small part of it seemed to warm, which I nuzzled into and closed my eyes. It felt like a hand gently caressing me. I choked up even more, and more tears flowed. Lady Myrna had held my chin like that countless times. Yeah, that is weird. That kind of sucks though. But so far, the anime, I'm liking the anime. Years ago, I wasn't too keen about it, but I'm giving it another shot. All too soon, that breeze disappeared as swiftly as it had come. I collapsed to my knees and screamed out my agony. I did not care who heard me. It did not matter anymore. Even bounty hunters could take me at this very moment, and I would not even care. I suddenly ripped my heart open and drew a blade across the skin. Dark ruby red blood spilled from my chest just above where my heart should be. I clenched that pendant to the wound as I apologized to those women for my failing them, for not being there when they needed me the most. I will never forget any of you. I will never stop loving you. I wish I could have taken your place in death. It should have been me. I cried out into that breeze. I then laid down that bloody pendant on the stone before me. Standing up, I closed my eyes as I said my final goodbyes before drying my eyes and starting to turn. Something gave me an eerie feeling of being watched. I stopped and scanned the area around me carefully, but found nothing could be seen from my spot. I shook my head and I put my hat on before walking away from that pendant. You're fine, Evie. I know that, like, I've had people tell me that I should, like, read until I get to, like, a good stopping point, but I don't know. I really feel it, like, for me, it's very important to talk to y'all, so it doesn't bother me when y'all talk, and that's why I stopped to talk to y'all. So yeah, I just haven't, I don't know. It's hard to explain, I guess. I've had some people say to do a balance, but, like, it's really hard, especially if there's like a chapter that's like 20 pages long or whatever. You know, I won't be talking to anybody for like 30 minutes or whatever. So that's kind of, you know, because I a lot of times people, I don't know, I feel like people want that connection. So standing up, over the next several nights, I got the sense that I was being followed. Not liking it, I decided to travel in a stream just to cause them to lose my tracks. I traveled like that for an entire day, only being on dry land were absolutely necessary. I did not really have any particular place to go, so I wandered aimlessly for weeks on end until it became absolutely necessary to start going into town for some supplies. Oftentimes, I could go 2 to 3 weeks before having to go into any town and dealing with the people who often just accuse me of random stupid stuff. Yeah, exactly. There are other readers, and, well, that was the end of the chapter on that anyways. There's other readers, I mean, there's not a whole lot, but there are other readers that they'll go like an hour or whatever without stopping to read, and then they try to catch up on chat. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. Alright, so we just read chapter 13. Basically, doesn't seem like a whole lot has happened. Corvin's kind of on the run, and he's seen another plague doctor, but the plague doctor didn't really talk to him. And so he's kind of mourning the loss of his 3 ladies. That's basically it. Okay, everybody's still up here. Alrighty. So, we will continue with chapter 14. Let me refresh this. Alright. So chapter 14. Albo Fartribus. I think that's how you pronounce it. 5 months later. That's a long time. I guess it's, but in a book, I guess it's not that long. Alright. The seasons were slowly changing, and it was easily felt upon the wind as a storm was brewing. Such a storm would bring some freezing rain and some gusty winds. Joyous, I thought to myself as I rode towards a town. I was in need of supplies that could not wait for the passing of the storm. I spoke to no one that was not absolutely necessary and kept a cloth mask over my nose and mouth. I definitely attracted attention dressed like this, but not necessarily bad attention. I scared folks to the point that people just stayed away from me, of which I was completely fine. Less people near me meant less chances to form attachments. Less attachments meant less pain for me in the end. I had just finished the necessary transactions within the town when that storm broke and the skies tore completely open. Within moments, I had water absolutely streaming off my coat and hat. I was already beyond irritated that I had not been able to make it back to my shelter camp before the storm broke. Some distance in the dying light of the day on the storm, as the storm seemed to gather in intensity, my horse began to get very nervous and sidestep with his ears back. I had learned to trust my horse over the years I had spent alone with him. So when he became nervous, I became far more alert. Scanning the area around me, I lifted my lantern so that I could see more easily. There, just in the middle of the muddy road, was a figure hunched over. The puddle around him, a darker color, his shirt stained red as blood blossomed through it. I groaned, but decided against my better judgment to stop and see what assistance I could get. I approached, leading my horse by the reins. I was cautious and kept my distance. To his side lay a plague doctor mask and a bag with various supplies that had been hastily pulled out. Let me get the raffle here. Like I said, I need to figure out how to make it automatic. I was hoping if I did the iRaffle, it would start it, but no. Shaking off the excess water, I came closer to this man who was now coughing up blood. Lots of it, too. "You there, sir. Why might you be covered in blood as such?" I said, referencing what was going on. The man looked up at me, sideways, never quite looking at me fully. I am fine, Doc," but his sentence was cut off with a bloody, harsh cough. I groaned and shook my head before coming up and crouching directly before him. "No, you are not okay. We really need to get you all stitched up, or at the very least stop the bleeding before you are moved for better care. A muddy street in a cold rainstorm is absolutely no place to be cleaning a wound." This man growled at me as best as he could given the circumstances, before pointing to his bag. Go right ahead," he said, before sputtering more blood from his mouth. With his permission, I began to dig through his bag, pulling out a few needed tools and some medicines from my own supplies. Unbuttoning his shirt carefully, I was shocked to see such a large gash going from his shoulder to the opposite hip, almost like a seam pulling him in half. I paid it no mind and began to set about stitching this wound up. It was of no concern of mine how he had gotten this wound. After a good long moment of careful stitching and myself ending up covered in his blood, "That ought to do it right there, doctor, but you need to get yourself inside and rest by the warm fire, lest an illness take its hold within you." My strange patient began to laugh, but that laugh cut off in a round of harsh, painful sounding coughs. I have nowhere to go," he mumbled out as he stood up shakily. I handed him his strange, black and white, blood-stained shirt. As he put that on, he looked directly at me. He had the most unusual eyes. One eye was completely black, but the other was a glossed over white. It was likely that he was blind in that eye of his. Tilting my head to the side, I was very curious about this man, both his eyes and his wound. My cloth mask kept most of my expressions hidden, but since he had nowhere to rest safely for the night, I decided to take a chance. "Well, I do not have much, but I do have at least a drier camp for tonight," I offered to him cautiously. His body went very stiff at the offer. "Did someone send you to kill me while I'm vulnerable? Is that what it is?" He snapped at me, suddenly far more defensive than he had been prior. It was actually quite a shock to me, as I thought that perhaps I would receive even a slight bit of gratitude for my assistance. I frowned at this before saying, "If I had truly wanted to harm you, I would have done it while stitching you up. Or if I wanted to kill you, I would have had my horse trample you without ever bothering to get my boots muddy. Why would I waste effort getting off and up close to you? Especially if I wanted was to kill you," I said as I attempted to hide my annoyance. As a last attempt at kindness, I stood up and offered my hand. When he did not take it, I turned away, leaving myself vulnerable to attack as I went to mount my horse. Upon mounting up, I began to ride off, regretting every stopping in the first place. Possibly because you gain my trust before killing me? A voice sounded from beside me. I looked down to see this doctor follow me while carrying all of the belongings that he had with him. Still very much annoyed, I said, "If I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have bothered with all that care. Rather, I would have simply ridden around your bleeding body and left you for dead." I led him out of the town, a good safe distance away to my camp, where I had a small camp set up. A canvas covering protected a small area from the wind and rain. Once we had arrived at camp, I took everything off my horse to give him a break, and then, still not paying the stranger no mind, I started a fire to warm up the small area. He would both need his warmth tonight, realizing that the stranger still wore his soaking wet blood-stained shirt. I groaned and grabbed one of my spare shirts. I tossed it to him, but upon seeing the stranger look he gave me, I said, "It's so you don't actually get yourself ill." I turned away to give the stranger some privacy as he got dressed. He was most peculiar creature, that was for sure. His eyes had been a definitive surprise for me, but casually observing, I took note of his shirt and mask that also shared that half black and half white look. It was odd, sure, but it certainly did not bother me at all. "You made it sound like there are folks hunting you," I said after throwing a few logs onto the fire and had noticed that he was watching my every single move. I offered a small smile, but I too knew what it was like to be hunted ruthlessly and mercilessly. It wouldn't be the first time, he muttered after a moment. Looking away, his gaze went off into the distance. Something was on his mind, and whatever it might be, definitely painful for him. Give me 1 second. Okay. I wanted to inquire about what was on his mind, but it was of no concern of mine. This stranger was no one to me, and I had no reason to form an attachment to someone I would likely never see again. Still, in order to be rid of him, I would need to give him strength. I dug into my bags and pulled out a wrapped up package of cold meat that I had saved from this morning's meal. You'll need to eat after that injury. Eat. You are safe. It is not like anyone messes with me anyway. Not anymore, I said before removing my cloth mask and running my finger through my shoulder-length burnished blonde hair. I groaned and stretched out quite a bit before sitting down on the far side of the makeshift shelter. The stranger picked at the food nervously, and if I so much as twitched, his black eye would immediately look at me. It was obvious that he was extremely nervous, so I decided to stay on the far side of the shelter. My long coat was waterproof, so it bothered me little that I was half outside of the protected dry area. To be fully covered, I would have to sit with my thigh damn near flushed against the stranger. I figured he would likely not appreciate that. I apologize for the food being cold, I said, trying to strike up a conversation with him to break the silence of rain upon the canvas. It is certainly best than nothing. Thank you, doctor, he said as he trailed off a bit and realized that he was asking for my name. I hesitated, giving him that as the last time I had done so. It had resulted in the deaths of 3 gorgeous women, but upon seeing that he had extended his hand, I decided to give him that small courtesy. Corvin, Blackwater. And you? I said simply as I took his hand into my warm hand firmly before promptly releasing it. He seemed to panic a little at that, but looked at me as I casually played with my dagger. Dr. Mark, he said quietly, but fell quiet after that, as he just simply watched me. I tilted my hat in acknowledgement. A pleasure to meet you. How is the wound holding up? I asked casually as I listened to the distant sounds of someone walking stealthily through the woods. The footsteps were masked by the thunder in the storm above us. Mark seemed to not notice as he lifted his shirt to check his wound. It seemed to be holding together, but looked to be very tender indeed. Mark was watching me closely, and had seemingly noticed I had focused on the surroundings. I slowly held my hand up level with the ground in an attempt to tell him to steady himself. A panic attack right now would be a very bad thing. From the distance, a figure was fast approaching Mark's blind side. To my horror, they had an arrow aimed directly at Mark. In a split-second reaction, I threw my blade at the figure. It whizzed by Mark's face and into his supposed attacker. The look of fear on Mark's face showed that he initially thought that I had intentionally thrown that dagger at him. I got up quickly and disappeared into the darkness, leaving him there. I had only left to grab the dying man and drag it back into the firelight. I growled upon seeing the emblem of the group known as Men of God. I pulled my dagger from this man's corpse and promptly cut off the emblem. When I looked up, I saw how Mark was studying the corpse. That group had been hunting me for the better part of these past couple of years. They too have hunted myself and someone close to me, Mark said to my surprise. I tilted my head slightly as he did not say who this person close to him was. A lover, I assumed, that had died. They are relentless for sure. I am indeed sorry for your loss. I offered my sympathies before handing him the patch. Here, as I do believe he was aiming for you. That would make this rightfully yours. I handed him the patch before flipping the blade around to offer it to him. You are more than welcome to finish this scum off. It was you he was aiming at after all. I watched this doctor closely to see what he would choose to do. He isn't dead. Not yet. Surprisingly, he said before taking my dagger with no hesitation at all. Going over to the man, wheezing on the ground, he stood over the man. The man's hands were up, shaking, trying to defend himself. But Mark smacked them aside as he cut open this man's shirt. Mark almost seemed to be an entirely different person as his... Okay, princess, thanks. Have a good night. Thanks for being here. Sleep well. Hopefully you don't need a nap tomorrow. Smacked them aside as he cut open this man's shirt. Alrighty. Mark almost seemed to be an entirely different person as he sliced down the skin of this would-be murderer's chest, from the hollow of his throat to almost his belly button. With steady hands, he peeled back the skin of this still living man, whose cries of agony were hardly more than a pain gurgle due to where I had hit him. A loud, resounding snap sounded throughout the trees as Mark went through and snapped each rib back. He then reached with both hands and ripped out this man's still beating heart. Jeez. Once he did that, he went back and sat down where he had been sitting prior. I don't know why he did so much. Alright. We'll continue. I think I'm just a little shocked right now. Sitting back, I watched with curiosity as Mark destroyed that body. He was most certainly stronger than he looked, which was impressive. And most likely a difficult opponent in a fight. Not that I wanted to fight him currently. Never before had I seen someone tear a body apart so eagerly like that, and I was fascinated by it. Mark had a lot of pent-up energy. In a way, I wanted to assist, but I shoved that feeling aside as I told myself, what was the point of even trying? He seemed to notice my watching and set down both heart and blade before cleaning the blood off of his body. It really didn't look like you were quite done with these. You are more than welcome to finish whatever it is that you wanted to do with it. It is your kill after all, I said as I handed him both items back before stepping back. No, I am done with it, Mark said, and surprising me as he pushed both away from him. He did not trust me, and nor could I blame him. I know that I did not really trust him either. I shrugged and turned away. I had once again attempted to be nice and accepting to someone. So much for that, I thought, shrugging. I left the heart and knife where he had left them. I dragged that body off into the woods where I was gone for a while. But upon my return, I said nothing to him or of the heart. Rather, I just stared into the fire while Mark just seemed to stare at me, which got to be rather unnerving to watch. I was not sure if he was zoning out or studying me or what his problem was. Seeing that the gaze he had on me did not seem to go away, so I in turn looked at him. I looked him up and down before looking away. Mark seemed to be hiding something, almost like an entire different side of him to him. This other person that he had mentioned that he was close to almost seemed to be like a lover to him. All was silent for some time, and then I kept hearing a persistent rubbing sound. Looking up, I saw Mark rubbing his wrists together vigorously, so with an innocent curiosity, I asked, "Mark, why are you doing that?" Mark glared at me, showing extreme signs of distrust and aggression plastered all over his face. "And why in the hell would you care?" He snapped at me in such a way that I frowned. He kept rubbing his wrist until even I could see the blood dripping from his wrist. But even then, he did not stop. I could not help the growl that escaped my throat, nor my lip twitch that accompanied said growl. "I was simply trying to keep you from hurting yourself further, Mark. But why do I even bother with kindness, with caring? It's not like I didn't just saved your life. Twice even." I growled out before just moving further away from him to where most of his body was outside of the sheltered area. I was fed up with this young upstart doctor. He would stay the night, but I was determined to get rid of him come morning. "I'd probably be better off dead anyway. It's gonna happen eventually, and it's not the first time that has happened. I've been hunted for a very long time. Not that you would fucking care." Mark snapped back at me as he suddenly got to his feet. He had the look of a man, definitely prepared to fight. His fist clenched tight as he stared me down. It was enough aggression that my head snapped to look at him. "If you had wanted to truly die, Mark, and sacrifice all that you held near and dear, even your lover you briefly mentioned earlier, then you should not have let me help you in the alley." I snapped back, getting up to my own feet as I glared at him. "Get a drink here?" Sorry. "Lover?" Mark questioned me before lunging at me. He gripped my throat and then promptly threw me into a nearby tree. As I wheezed for breath, he got up into my face. "I have no lover," he snarled at me as specks of his saliva showered my face. "I haven't had a lover in years. Well, you know absolutely nothing of me and my situation. You never will." Mark gripped my hair and started to smack my head against the tree. It was with enough force that I was seeing stars before my eyes. I growled at him. Struggling against this enraged doctor, I began to claw at the hand squeezing the breath from my throat. It took some effort, but I got my boot up and kicked him in the stomach. It caused him to stumble back and release my throat. He was doubled over in pain, a perfect opportunity to get my own hits in. I lost control of my temper, and in that moment, charged at him. I used my shoulder as a battering ram to throw his ass backwards with a vicious snarl. How the hell was I supposed to know? You spoke of this person as if they were a lover. I spat at him, but he had not seen that my throw. And put him right next to the dagger. I went at him fully intending to keep up the fight should he wish to continue. I gasped in agony as he sliced open my side. Out of sheer reaction to the pain, I clenched my side and my hand came away covered in the dark ruby red that was my own blood. I snarled at Mark. You made it sound like a lover. I backed away slowly as I attempted to hold my wound together. You never explained otherwise. Instead, you just outright attacked me. I saved your life. Some thanks for that. I said hurt, but turned away regardless. I never asked you to save my life. I said I'd be fine on my own. But no, you just had to meddle in my life. Mark yelled at me as I walked away. Then you should, I started to say, but turned my head back when I heard the dull thud of the dagger falling and him saying no multiple times. Watching as he slid down that tree, clutching his head like he did, I could not help that in that moment my heart went out to him. I realized that he, like me, had some very deep-rooted issues of his own. I did not go to him, but instead looked at him a moment longer before just turning my back on him so that I could tend to the wound still bleeding on my side. And that is chapter 14. And that's where we are going to stop. I am losing my voice.